I'm Ina Fried with CNET News here in Los Angeles at Microsoft's Professional Developer Conference, where one of the topics is Internet Explorer 9. With me is Dean Hachamovitch, who is the General Manager for Internet Explorer. So what's Microsoft thinking as far as IE9?
Well, today we gave developers a first look at some of the progress that we're making in IE9. We showed three things in particular. We showed some progress on performance, we showed progress on interoperable standards, and we showed hardware-accelerated graphics and text. Briefly, on the performance front, we talked about all the different subsystems that are in the browser and how different sites have got different profiles in terms of how they exercise the browser. And we were specific around some of the progress we've made on one of those subsystems, particularly JavaScript performance.
And that's an area where Microsoft had come under some criticism. Some of the other browsers had been a little faster, or considerably faster.
Right, and that's, as I said, one specific subsystem. We showed some progress. You can see some detailed charts and commentaries at blogs.msdn.com/IE, where we go into detail about the performance progress. We showed some progress around interoperable standards. You can see that our Asset 3 test score has gone up in the 3 weeks since Windows 7 general availability. And more importantly, you can see how IE9 supports other standards in richer ways, standards that developers rely on to build very rich websites. For example, we showed some improvements around selectors, or we showed improvements around rounded corners and borders. The thing that Ina and I spent the most time talking about was actually the hardware-accelerated graphics and text. And just to make sense of what's going on here, we're moving IE from sitting atop of GDI, which is the old graphics infrastructure of Windows, to moving and working on top of DirectX. And the powerful, amazing thing about DirectX is that it taps into the hardware. And so if you have a great graphics card and a great GPU, DirectX lets Windows programs take advantage of that. So what you see in IE9, what we demonstrated, and you can find links to great videos, is how DirectX gives much clearer and smoother text in the browser, and how DirectX gives amazing graphics rendering and performance inside of the browser. And we have a few examples here, and I really hope the flip video captures it. And if it doesn't, I'll make sure that you get a link to the screen captures. So this is an example of text. We're going to start down over here, and you'll see that as I increase the letter spacing, let me go through, you'll see that it kind of chunks forward, chunk by chunk by chunk.
And that's using the standard GDI.
That's using GDI. And now I'm going to do that again, and I'm going to do that with D2D. And you'll see it's a much smoother experience, almost like you'd expect out of an animated movie or an Xbox game. Let me give another example of how text comes in. Here we are in GDI, and as the fonts animate in, there's a lot of left-right wiggle as it comes in, and it comes in at a pretty slow speed. When I do that again on top of D2D, it's a lot smoother.
And just for the viewers, I want to say it is a lot smoother. My hand's still shaking just as much, so it might not be as obvious. But basically the idea here is that graphics and text are much sharper. And I think you have one more that you show with Bing Maps, where you get a lot better frame rate because of this.
Yeah, and so let's go to the Bing Maps example. And I'm going to bring up a couple of interesting tools here. There we go. Here is something that will show frame rate. You'll see frames per second there. And I'm going to start scrolling. I'm going to start panning. This is just a plain old Ajax site. And you'll see I'm getting about 7 frames per second. It'll vary between 5 and 10. And when I flip over into D2D, you'll see the frame rate will go way up here to about 40 or so. Typically, we can get well over 60 frames a second. And you'll also notice it's not in the video right now, but down in the corner there's a CPU meter down here. And you'll see that the CPU meter goes from being, the CPU goes from very high utilization when using GDI to being just about nothing under D2D.
So these are just some of the early things we're seeing with Internet Explorer 9. Obviously, it's not ready. You've just been working on a short time.
It's early in the development cycle. We thought it was important to show some of the progress we've made with the development community. There's a blog detailing this, and we're excited for feedback and more conversation about this.
Thanks, Dean.